Do you ever just get off of a roller coaster that not many enthusiasts talk about and just think, man, that thing is underrated? What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Today, we are not talking about a certain type of roller coaster or a park or a list, but today I'm going to be focusing on a single roller coaster. This is my second installment in my Honest Coaster Review series, where I look at unpopular opinions of mine and talk about them in the form of a coaster review. I like to go off of the beaten path with these, and while a lot of these roller coaster reviews are similar, I would like to talk about my unpopular opinion for a certain ride. And today, we are talking about the one and the only 2019 mock multi-launch Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. And walking into this, it was definitely a bucket list ride for me, but I did not know it would be as good as it was. Looking at other reviews, I really didn't think it was going to be outstanding, but when I got off of this ride, it was a completely different reaction. In today's video, I'm going to give 1, my honest review, and 2, if my opinion is factual. And we are going to talk about if this could be the best roller coaster in the park, outdoing the one and the only Fury 325. So today, this is Cedar Flags, and I will be talking about Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. So, the first part of this video, we are going to be talking about the ride experience, how the ride is in my personal opinion. And let me start this off saying I must have gone on an absolutely phenomenal day, but we will get to that later. It just seems like my reviews are so different from other people's. And like I said, we are going to be getting into that in the next part. But when I got off of this, I looked at how Fury ran and I just thought, man, this is by far the king of Carowinds. Let me explain from element to element. First off, you get a great introduction with the plaza. It has a beautiful front entrance and you have to go under the layout to get in the queue. The queue is beautiful itself as well. Nothing compared to something at Islands of Adventure, but they still put all of their effort in for Cedar Fair level. And the station, it's a pretty nice station, but I wasn't too impressed. You get into the car-like trains and put down your lap bar, and I have to say, I absolutely love these. These are very comfortable, and they remind me a lot of the restraints found on Velocicoaster. And the first element kicks in once the all clears are done. And let me say, this has got to be one of my favorite inversions, no elements, on a roller coaster ever. It is the JoJo roll, and something that makes this element so fun is the fact that no positive G's have kicked in yet. The restraint hasn't been tightened yet by the positive forces of the ride, so you feel every bit of that hang time. This is one of the only elements that legitimately scared me. I legitimately felt like I was going to fall off. And some on-ride audio is playing at this time, so it really gets you in the mood for what's to come. You go inside of a shed, and I have to say, I absolutely love the theming of it. It has a very intricate theme. Anyways, after the power goes out, I guess, you launch into your first inversion. And I have to say, a lot of people give this launch a lot of crap, but I was genuinely impressed compared to the expectations that I had. No, it's not an insane launch, but it had a decent kick to it. So let's talk about the first half of the ride. The first element is this massive vertical loop, and you get some great hang time on that as well. Not as much as the JoJo roll, but still a lot. And then probably one of my favorite elements on the ride, a nice little Camelback Airtime hill. And a lot of people describe this airtime in many different ways, but for me, I thought this was some RMC level airtime. I'm talking Storm Chaser. This element launched me into space. It didn't matter what row I was in, I rode this multiple times in most rows, and I have to say this element was just crazy, absolutely out of this world. You go into a corkscrew, which is fun, and then you go into a series of twists and turns that deliver some absolutely phenomenal positive forces, some I-305 level stuff. You make a left-hand turn into this airtime moment right before the second launch, and I have to say, this airtime moment is one of the craziest I've ever experienced. This is, like that other Camelback, some of the most intense ejector airtime I have ever felt in my entire life. Now, we get into a part of the ride that definitely underwhelmed me, the sequence of elements following the second launch. The airtime hill was non-existent, and the double up leading into the cutback was non-existent as well. The cutback did deliver some decent hang time, but after that you go into a low to the ground turn, which was pretty impressive, and then a loop, which was a very disappointing element for me on the other hand. Now I have to say that this loop was not horrible, but it didn't deliver the positive Gs or hang time that I expected. But the rest of the ride is absolutely bonkers, and is my favorite moment of the ride. You go into this weird stangle dive style turnaround that I have to say launches you both sideways and upwards, and it is one of the most intense elements I have ever experienced on a ride. And the rest of the ride, if you thought that first half was bonkers, you're not even going to be prepared for this. You go into some crazy S-bends that caught me completely off guard. I mean, these elements are insane, at least more when I experienced them. In fact, as someone who has ridden Maverick dozens of times, I think Maverick's elements are pretty tame compared to this part of the ride. These elements just throw you around every which way. The turns on the ride just give some insane positive forces, and the whip is absolutely out of this world. The finale is a few airtime moments leading into the brake run, and it includes this one off-axis hill that I have to say is one of the most intense airtime moments I've ever experienced on a coaster, and then you lead into the final brake run. So that is my ride experience, but is it a normal ride experience? How does it compare with other opinions? So, the moment of truth. Is it the best ride in the park? Is it one of the best roller coasters in the world? Well, I do have to say, this is a very unpopular opinion of mine. This is up in my top 10, like I said, above rides like Fury 325, Maverick, and Skyrush. So, why is that? I think one of the reasons is 1, the abundance of elements compared to rides like Maverick and Fury, and 2, the intense forces on all of them. I think most of the elements that have positive and negative Gs completely blow Maverick and Fury out of the water. And though there are rides that are more intense like Velocicoaster, I think when it comes to some rides out there, Copperhead just absolutely defeats them. And I know a lot of enthusiasts say that stats don't matter, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me when they say that Fury's better. It has less elements, in my opinion they're a lot less forceful than Copperhead's, and the ride is overall just more drawn out, instead of fast-paced low to the ground, which many enthusiasts crave. But I think I do have a reason why my opinion is unpopular. I must have gone on a really good day. I have a few friends that are also enthusiasts that have been to Carowinds in past years, and they say that the ride did not run anywhere near as fast as how I'm portraying it. In fact, a friend of mine showed me a video of his when he went to Carowinds in 2019, and even though my video shows the train flying into the brake run, his video showed the train barely getting into the brake run whatsoever. The speed was definitely different, and a lot of people say it also depends on the time of the day. The only time I rode this ride was 5 o'clock on, and that includes some night rides, so heat and the time of day definitely play an important role in this. Also, this ride has been getting a lot more positive reviews in 2022. If you've ever heard of the Instagram account Peninsula of Thrills, he recently went to Carowinds and said that this was by far better than Fury, and his number 2 coaster overall, only behind Steel Vengeance. And I have to say, that doesn't seem like a popular opinion, but it seems more like my opinion. So, I think the moral of this all is that you really just have to ride it on the best time possible. And it's really impossible to tell when that time is. But I must have gone on such a good day because those hills were some of the strongest ejector that I've ever gotten. So if you get lucky, you may be on one of the best rides of your life. But if you're like most people, you might just get your average mock multi-launch. Keep riding, and I hope you get as good of a ride as I did. What do you think about Copperhead Strike? Let me know down in the comments below. This is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.